exciting team to watch. They play an exciting brand of netball. Straight away, Kamwenda coming a long way from the post. Got the matchup against Pretorius.
When you watch Kamwenda, you expect that she will stay close to the post. She's an explosive goal shooter. You expect her to be on the hold. And almost every time the ball comes down the court from Malawi, she is out, up near the transverse line, bringing the ball through.
Here's Lewis, who's put down some big numbers, 31, 44, 35, 29. So she's been really strong under the post for them. Both start with a goal. Kamwenda. Bridget, no relation to Mike Kamwenda, but a great understanding, feeding it in. And Kamwenda, the most goals, 236 in the tournament so far. Missed just 22, shooting at 91%. Susie Drone, the captain for Wales. Emma Thomas started the tournament really well. The goal attack, here she is. Missed just one goal in her first 3 games, but struggled to step up against the elite teams over the last 3. As I mentioned, they won their first 3. They beat Fiji by 7, Zambia by 27, and Uganda by 2. And since then lost to South Africa by 28, England by 45, and the Diamonds by 65 last night.
So 2 very different. Oh, what a ball!
Just out Cooley, the captain.
Yeah, and Cooley just looked over the mess that was in front of her. Decided to go straight to Kamwenda. So really different entry into this game from both these teams. Malawi, absolute heartbreak yesterday. Wales on the end of a hiding from the Diamonds, but they would have learnt a lot from that game, and they would have learnt about the intensity of international netball playing with the top side. So despite the fact that they were flogged and Malawi only lost by 1, it's probably a much more difficult job for Malawi to get up today and really get into this game.
Another beautiful long ball into Kamwenda, and she is already right on top here. 4 from 4. Jones, the starting centre for Wales, probably been their best player, Liz. I've been able to call a lot of her games, and she's really strong, got a real presence in that mid-court.
Yeah, and quite tall for centre, 175 centimetres, born in Perth. It's almost like a home game for her.
And here's the lefty in Lewis. She hasn't missed, so she's 3 from 3. Playing in her 2nd World Cup.
So you can hear Kamwenda, why Kamwenda, she's got plenty to say. And you'll hear at different points, if she's free under the post, she leaves her teammates under no illusions of where she is and where she wants the ball.
Good strong hold from Lewis, and an impressive start from her. So plays in the Super League, does Chelsea Lewis over in England, but has also spent a lot of time in New Zealand, Liz, and certainly talking to people that know her quite well, is really keen to secure a contract in the ANZ Champs. We've seen so much potential here, particularly from the African nations, and throw in Chelsea Lewis and a couple of other players that have really put their hand up and stood out, and it makes you think what the potential could be if they were able to get into a professional club and get into that environment where you said it's all about sort of the training, the weights, the nutrition, how you take that next level. and play at the elite level. What do you think of the one import rule? Should they look at maybe changing that and bring in a second so we see it's got more of a worldwide flavour to it?
Yeah, I'd love to see more imports being allowed to be brought in, but I do understand the concerns from the national coaches of teams like Australia and New Zealand about the fact that a lot of imports, when they come in, they tend to be either goal shooters or goalkeepers. Not a lot of mid-court imports, probably with the exception of Jade Clark and Serena Guthrie. So those key positions at each end of the court tend to get taken up by imports. And if you look at the New Zealand franchises, almost every goal shooter in those franchises is an import. Joe Harton in Magic, Janelle Fowler-Reid for Steel, Pat Latu, New Zealander playing for the Mystics. So there are some concerns. It's almost like, oh, that's a really good contest there from Williams. There are some concerns, but they could be overcome just by maybe restricting the number of imports in different positions. So you can only have X amount of imports in the goal shooter position, for example, and once that's full, then you've got to look to a goal attack. But then when you look at the goal attacks here that have been impressive, Simtawi has been one of them. Nanyonga from Uganda is another one who've just really run the show. Beckford,
yeah, for Jamaica.
Have all been really good. So
it's not necessarily, I mean, they're not going to be the stars of the show as such, not initially. So it's not necessarily taking maybe a spot from an Australian or a New Zealander in their home team as such. It's just getting them in the environment and seeing what they can do.
It is, and it's also a huge investment for a country like Australia to make it an athlete that's not going to pay dividends for them. So if you look, for example, Australia's probably the country that does it best in terms of its pathways, its sub-elite pathways, and it's very clear that, you know, you play for your club and then you play in a state league competition and then you play in New South Wales, you play in the Premier League competition, and then there's the ANL, the league that sort of sits between state league and the ANZ Championship. So it's all very clear. When you take an international player and put her in that pathway, resources are getting spent on that player that from a national point of view is never going to give back. So it takes almost a charitable mindset from Australian administrators to go, right, well, we're never going to see much back from this player in terms of playing for Australia, but she'll play for another country against Australia, and that will help world netball. So it's a bit of a different mindset. Oh, that's a beautiful take.
She's been threatening Williams.
Yeah, she's had a go at a couple of those. She reads it really well, and her timing then was just perfect.
So do the imports need to take the Mwai Come Wenda route, which was come to Melbourne in one of those lower competitions and sort of honed her craft, didn't she, in the ANL for Melbourne. The Victorian Fury, I think it was, before eventually getting picked up by the Tactics.
Yeah, so they need to take a huge risk. They've got to uproot their lives, come and live in Australia, and that involves you've got to support yourself, you've got to figure out a way, what do you do for work, how do you get a job, all that sort of stuff.
She's a much improved player to the player that stepped in to the ANZ champs a few years ago for the Tactics.
That's Williams flying out and having a go at that.
And flying at that ball as well, just had a little bit too much on it for Lewis. It's been a good opening stanza between these two teams. Wales with the lead, but only just. Warm applause from the crowd as well. It's not the first time we've seen her try that move. And we've seen quite a few players do it in the tournament, off the post, using the post as an eighth teammate.
9 times out of 10 it works. I've only seen from Wenda muck it up just the once.
Yeah, she tried it from about the halfway mark, that's why.
That'll hurt.
I think Jodie Brown did it. A few players have done it.
So 100% shooting from Malawi, 7 from 7 from Wenda, 3 from 3 from Simtawi.
And Simtoe scored 23 from her 23 attempts against Jamaica yesterday. So,
yeah, super impressive.
She was great.
The other end of the court, Chelsea Lewis, 8 from 8. Emma Thomas, 1 from 2. So Wales probably need a little bit more from their goal attack.
Beautiful ball, great feeding into Kamwenda. There'll be some tired bodies, I would imagine, out there now, Liz, because we've been going 9 days and it is a tough program. 8 games over the 10 days all up, so still got another game to play out tomorrow, which will be their most important to determine placings. But both these sides have had some really close contests and really pushed their tired bodies to the limit.
They have, and they'll know they've only got 120 minutes of netball left, but it's the hardest 120 when you're playing for your placings and for your World Cup ranking.
So Malawi with the first little break here, lead it by 3.
Just looking at Emma Thomas, the Welsh goal attack, and she put on about 4 or 5 moves then, and they just got slower and slower. You can see some of these players are really hitting a level of exhaustion. They're having to push through it. Contact call goes against Lewis.
Here goes Malawi unloading with a couple of long bombs.
Contact win. Contact centre.
That's a real feature of Malawi's game. They get it out of the defence line really quickly, but it almost catches them by surprise, and all the attackers get caught up the court. So then it's just little sharp passes to try and get the ball back to the circle.
So the captain for Wales, Susie Drain, has called for injury time. She's battled injury throughout this tournament. Missed one of the early games completely and getting some attention to her left foot. Susie Drain, playing in her 2nd World Cup. She's a lecturer in sport and development at the Cardiff University, Liz. So a lot of these players, we have to remember, have got full-time jobs.
Not allowed, Frank. They're just splitting you. So it's for, you've got a couple of minutes, all right? You need to make sure it's data. You can test the high balls in. The long ones, ball in flight, go for them. Got nothing to lose. At the moment, you two are watching. Get stuck into the game, all right? More movement here. Sharp crosses, circle edge feeds. Let's go back to processes.
Come on, ladies.
Hands in.
Turnover.
Callan on 3.
1, 2, 3, Callan!
Really good, strong words there from the Welsh coach. And I like it, Kel, when I hear a coach give very specific instructions to a team. So talking to her defenders then, they're splitting you. That means she can see it. And it's what the Malawi attackers are doing, just moving apart from each other, splitting the defensive line so they can't work as a unit. And the other thing she said that hopefully we'll see is telling them, keep having a go at those long balls. Don't just stand there and watch. And Williams has got out to a couple of those, so we know she can read it. We know she's got the speed to get it.
Nice ball from Dyke into Lewis. And they hit back. So just 3 in it with 3 minutes left before the first break. Drain playing on after the treatment she received for an injured left foot.
Good patience here from Wales, just trying to get the ball to the edge of the circle. That makes it easier for them to get the ball to Lewis. A holding shooter.
And that call against Vinkumbu. So Lewis, the go-to girl once again. She's 10 from 10. She's pretty much going goal for goal against the superstar in Kamwenda. It's been a terrific effort by her in this first quarter.
Great use of the outside arm there from Pretorius. Got up just to disrupt the flow.
She's battled hard, Liz, for the entire tournament. She's come up against some of the big names. Had a big clash against Thwaites and then Bassett in the last quarter last night, and a few of the other tough ones.
And turns around today and there's another superstar in Kamwenda. That's a good feed from Jones into Lewis. And it's really hard to defend against feeds that are given so quickly. So Jones then didn't take any time. She turned, she spotted Lewis and delivered the ball. So you can see the work that Susie Drain is doing there in wing defence, is getting a hand up. That would be part of the Welsh game plan, just to try and force a poor pass into Kamwenda. And in order for that to happen, the pressure has to come in the mid-court.
Chelsea Lewis hasn't missed, and that was offline as soon as it left her left hand.
Yeah, she looks uncomfortable. She's copped a bit of a knock to the upper right thigh. She had to move a lot then, and that's what the coach was asking for. Trish Wilcox wanted her defenders getting out and having a go.
Yes, advantage of shot in the centre.
And Kamwenda makes it 14 from 14, so doesn't quite have the height why Kamwenda. See Pretorius come flying out for that ball. Only 183 centimetres, Liz, so obviously so athletic, but she looks so tall out there. She's such a presence, but doesn't quite have the height of the Jamaicans we saw earlier. Aiken standing at 193 and Fowler at 198. So quarter time here, and it's Malawi leading by 4. It's 17-3. So Kamwenda 14 from 14 leading the way, no surprises for the Malawi Queens. And Simtoe 3 goals from 4 attempts for Wales. Lewis with 11 from 12. And the last shot was the only miss, and just getting a bit of treatment. A little bit of a corky out there maybe. And Emma Thomas 2 from 3. Some of the quarter time stats.
Yeah, it's just some interesting reading there. Malawi sitting at 3 turnovers to the Welsh 6 turnovers, and it's a low turnover count for both teams. So they're both playing a very good possession game, and we've seen that with Malawi all the way through the tournament. They simply do not cough up possession. Both teams pretty even in terms of their intercepts and shooting. Fairly impressive. Wales at 87%, beaten only by a really impressive Malawi at 94%. So going into these games today where you're starting to really try and play for places, for your World Cup placings, especially for Wales as they're trying to move up the ladder, you need to be sitting in that mid-80s to high 80s to early 90s in terms of your shooting percentages. So Kamwenda, the most impressive shooter on court, 14 from 14 at 100%. We saw a couple of intercepts, 2 intercepts for Wales, 1 intercept for Malawi, but when you dig a little bit deeper, Malawi have 3 deflections to the Welsh, who only have 1 deflection. So Malawi just getting a hand to a little more defensive ball, and they're able to really run that down a little bit more often in that first quarter as well. Malawi have scored 5 goals from turnovers to Wales scoring 3 goals from turnovers. So Malawi really making the most of the turnover ball that they are getting, and that's going to be crucial to them if they are to take out this match.
And this has been their biggest lead to quarter time, 4-goal margin. It is 17-3. Malawi just got this game on their terms.
And it's a good start by the Welsh.
Two turnovers. Let's go, girls. Indochicana!
So we're about to start the second quarter here in this playoff. 4 placings for tomorrow. The winner will advance through to a placing match for 5th place. So there is a bit on the line for these two sides. Malawi with the upper hand just.
So the challenge for Wales is to really push through the quarter. In that first quarter, they started off really well. The biggest lead was 2 goals, and it was at halfway through that first quarter. And then Malawi won the second half of the quarter by 6 goals. So caught up the 2 and then ended up 4 ahead. So great start for Wales. Challenge is now to finish it.
Yeah, Malawi scoring 8 of the last 10 goals in that first quarter. They've got the first here, Wales, through Lewis. Pretorius is giving Kamwenda plenty to think about.
Yeah, as well as doing what a coach has asked her to do, and she's going out and having a fly. She's also contesting the first ball, and as a goalkeeper, that's what you want to do. You don't want to let the goal shooter just go out of the circle and have free rein out there. You want to get out and contest and put some pressure on the hands.
Emma Thomas, just an issue with her right hand. Just a quick blood rule. Thomas, she's faded a bit in this tournament. Liz, this is her second World Cup. She was 28 from 28 on day 1 against Fiji. And then she went 13 from 13 and then just missed her first goal in the 3rd game. And since then, just 8 goals and 7 goals and well held last night against Australia.
Yeah, she's faded, but her opposition has got that much harder. But I was just watching her before and she just looks like she's getting tired. Needs to stay sharp on the movement. That's a better lead. So a change for Malawi. Nguira in that goalkeeper position. She has replaced Vinkumbo. Takuli remains on at goal defence. Wing defence position has not changed. Grace Rafaeliwa. But Luazi has gone into the centre. She's replaced Galetta.
Too good from Kamwenda.
Now, just keep your eye on Luazi. She is just such an impressive player. She ran all day yesterday against the Jamaicans. Super fit, super fast.
To Konwa Luazi, the 23-year-old, in her first World Cup.
Lists her height as 160 centimetres, and I reckon that's about right. But that doesn't stop her. She's just such a live wire and really strong around the edge of the circle. So that tactic from Wales really paying off, having their defensive line get out and attack that ball, and even when they're not getting the intercept, they're causing the turnover, just forcing the handling error from Malawi. Good hands there from Takuli. That's a beautiful move from Kamwenda. Just a roll back to the circle, or back from the edge of the circle, back to the post.
Contact center. Goal third.
Well, it rolls out. And the defensive rebound for Malawi. Nguira getting up high on those defensive rebounds and able to move it quickly into attack. Straight into Kamwenda. She's the target every time they move forward. been a great shooting display by Mai Kamwenda. She's 17 from 17, the most prolific shooter in the tournament. That was asking a lot of her, and she was certainly up to it, taking on the two Welsh defenders. Oh, and it rolls out. There's the first miss, Liz.
You talked her up.
Oh, Mosder.
You wanted her?
Mosder.
What's that?
You give someone the Moz.
Is that a Victorian
Moz
thing?
on it, I'm not sure.
Moz. What happened to Jinx doesn't work?
That's it, that's the same thing.
I've never heard of Moz.
Maybe it's just a me word in my own little world, but
Moz, brought to you by Kelly Underwood.
Lawazi's away.
And just the reach of Mafaliwa there, just so good. She's dangerous. She's proved herself to be dangerous around the edge of the circle as well. Grace Mafaliwa.
Advantage contact, goal attack. Advantage contact, wing. Goalkeeper contact. Step in.
Just her 5th attempt, Emma Thomas. She can't quite find the net. Ntukuli, the captain, with plenty to say to Nguera. Ntukuli, the goal defence, Liz. She's the captain of this side. She's been the captain for about 4 years now, playing in her 3rd World Cup. So probably the most experienced player out there for Malawi. She's had a strong tournament.
She has, and I thought yesterday against Jamaica that Malawi might choose to just add to the height that they had in that circle with Nguera by bringing Vinkumbo into the goal defence position, but they chose not to and left Ntukuli out there, and she was good in the closing stages of that match.
Advantage stuck in centre.
There was a bit of strong drive along the baseline by Thomas, and that'll do her confidence a world of good.
Vantage breaking wing defense.
Here's Kamwenda again, a long way from home, and she does it often. And deceptively fast for a tall player. Scoots away to the post. So Pretorius did everything right there in terms of her feet. Got her feet around, just used the wrong arm, used her inside arm, and that's what brought the umpire into it. Just collected some Tawi on the way through.
Advantage offside, wing attack.
Richard Kamwenda way
Advantage
offside.
goal attack. Advantage contact, wing.
And it's worth a try. I saw Rhonda John Davis from Trinidad and Tobago do it earlier this week, and totally, the umpire was totally oblivious to it. She got a tin, ran back on side, and they kept it going.
Sometimes it goes your way.
That's right. You get away with it, why not?
Little Lawazi.
Advantage obstructed, goal attack.
I hesitate to say pocket rocket because it's such a nothing term, but
Cliche.
yeah,
She is, though.
But she's
she's exactly that.
she's so good and she's so powerful. And it's going to be a nice match-up between her and Jones around the edge of the circle because they're both really strong. So just keep your eye on that.
Here is Kyra Jones. Like the winning attack, back to Kyra Jones using Susie Drain, forced to go backwards. Good pressure being applied here by Malawi.
Well, it was a good patient build-up from Wales. It deserves to be finished. It would just take the wind out of the Malawi defensive line sails, and they've done it. So they're staying in touch, Wales, in the second quarter. And nice little defensive zone being put on there by the Welsh line, and it pays dividends. So just a little change up in pace defensively for Sierra.
Advantage obstructed, wing attack.
So the winner of this game moves into play tomorrow and play off for 5th position, and they will play the winner of a match about to get underway here at Sydney Olympic Park between Uganda and South Africa.
That'll be a ripping match as well.
So South Africa and Malawi, traditional, they're sort of African rivals, aren't they? But they share that 5th, 6th ranking spot.
They do, although South Africa haven't beaten Malawi for a long time, or they hadn't beaten Malawi for a long time. We got their first win in a couple of years this year when Norma Plummer took over as captain. As coach. As captain, she probably thinks she could play. She's only 70, you know, she could make a comeback.
Well, if she dances, if she can play like she dances, give her a go.
So they won that game, though, South Africa against Malawi without, it was a Malawi minus Mike and Wenda. So Malawi certainly have had the ascendancy in the last couple of years. And I caught up with Norma Plummer and Nicole Cusack yesterday, and they're a little bit wary of Uganda. I feel like they have improved across the course of this tournament. And that battle for African supremacy has been riveting. Some really great matches.
Well, the 3 countries finishing in the top 8.
You just have to think, don't you, that it wouldn't take a lot of resources to get the first African World Cup champion.
No, it wouldn't take too much at all. And if Malawi gets the win here, it'll be an African country finishing 5th and 6th. That'll be confirmed. And they're closing the gap.
And they certainly are. That's a good win there from Nguira. Really enjoy watching Nguira play. She's young, she's raw, but she has so much potential. And she did a good job yesterday against Jamaica, up against Romelda Aiken, and she's in pain.
Thomas has hurt herself. Straight away, she knew she had done something significant. Down on the floorboards, getting some treatment. I've seen a lot of twisted and tweaked ankles this week. I guess that happens when you're seeing so much netball played. James going to warm up. Oh, there goes the left.
Yeah, just landed on Nguira's foot. And you're going to see it more in these last couple of days, Kel, because as you get tired, ankle injuries are more likely to happen, and without going into too much scientifically, as you get tired, your body really takes that little bit longer to understand where it is in space and on the land to adjust if it lands on an uneven surface, because you're tired. It just takes a little bit longer for your muscles to adjust. So as these players get more and more fatigued, we'll see those sort of injuries happen.
Right, let's get a turn of this. Come on, girls, let's go.
So Thomas is going to battle on here.
And sometimes when you twist your ankle, you just sort of need a few minutes for it all to back into place.
Is that a technical term?
Yeah.
Into place.
I've run out of words.
Oh, breaking news. I was about to just pick myself up off the chair for a moment.
That won't stop me talking.
Offside wing attack.
Ball constructed center.
So just the second miss there for Lewis, but nice offensive rebound, knocks up her own mess, and she's up to goal number 20.
It's a good quarter for Wales. After losing that first quarter by 4 goals, Now they're leading the second by 2.
Just 2 goals in it.
Oh, that's a long way back. It's a patient setup from Wales, but they've got a long way back to go a little bit forward.
Drain, their captain, off to Williams.
Lewis is there, but the Welsh feeders don't want to put it over Nguira. That's pretty impressive for Nguira just to be in their mind so much about where she might be. And finally Lewis gets it. That ball could have come in a little while ago. Lewis was holding really good space.
Reward for effort for Chelsea Lewis. Persistence pays off. Oh, Kamwenda calls for it. And the long ball goes in unselfishly over to Cindy Simtaway. And that's just her 8th goal. And
that's hard yakka for the Welsh front line. They've just done a heap of work, and it's a quick score for Malawi, and now they're back to working really hard again. So Wales really having to labour to get this ball anywhere near the circle. And it's a test of their patience, but they're up to it.
Nice ball from Dye into Lewis. They've really got their tails up at the moment now, Wales. After trailing by 4 at quarter time.
It's funny, isn't it, with Malawi, when Kamwenda decides to stay home, close to the post, their access to the circle is just so easy. When she comes out to try and help out, it really does slow them down.
Thomas tries to keep it back in play. Happy to run the clock down here, Malawi. They want to take a lead into half-time. No real sense of urgency. Bit too much on it. Mwazi's ball for Simtaway.
It was a long ball. They'd gone short, kept possession. It was a long ball that cost them.
To draw within 1 just before half-time on the baseline. Can Lewis do it? Yes.
Pressure shot. There's Thomas chasing the ball out.
Just about knocking our cameraman over down there.
Here's a big turnover. Can Wales score? This would be a massive goal in the context of this game. They've got just over 20 seconds to do it, so they've got to go direct. They don't have to panic, but they can't afford to waste any time.
Can they get it done? Oh, Nguira goes to ground, and Lewis feeds it off to Thomas, and yes! So it's all tied up here at half-time, and there is a lot at stake, particularly for Wales. Oh, we're going to play a last second.
Jones will hold on to the ball.
There it is. So Wales' highest ever World Cup finish is equal 6th, and that was back in 1975 and 1979. So a win here, and they'll be playing off for 5th tomorrow. It's all tied up, 29 goals apiece.
For Wales. Interesting here, the players out really early. That suggests that they're a little bit toey, a little bit nervous when you get out early onto court. And standing around for a couple of minutes waiting at 29 apiece, well, wouldn't you be nervous?
So finally, Takondwa Luazi back to Mtakuli. Kamwenda comes a long way out from the post. Would you rather just see her plant herself under the post, Liz?
I would. I feel like Malawi just get a little bit caught up when she gets out there because she takes up space that the other players can run into, and you know that Simtawi can take the great cut and drive in front of her. Wazi is just so impressive around the edge of the circle. Bridget Kamwenda also really good in that wing attack position, so I prefer for Ryan to stay in the circle unless they're desperate. Then she can drive out and take a lead, but on the whole, staying in the circle should be the first thing that she wants to do.
Straight into Lewis. Really threatening. Every time it goes down there, Chelsea Lewis in a great tournament. Short pass call.
So both teams tiring a little bit defensively, and you can see that just in the fact that the court is opening up through the mid-court. Both teams bringing the ball down pretty well through that mid-court.
Thomas, quick hands, the offload into her shooting partner, Lewis, who is red hot today. Back in that goalkeeper position, Liz. So they've started down there the same as they started the game.
Yeah, interesting that they brought Lorraine Guira on into that goalkeeper position, and I'm huge raps for her. I think she's got a huge amount of potential. A young player, very raw player, but with a great reach. And it made sense to bring her on against Chelsea Lewis because Chelsea Lewis is so tall and has been so damaging, but it actually gave Lewis a little bit more space, and she quite happily opened up. So no surprises that change has been made. It is the only change for Malawi at half-time, and no changes for Wales.
Well, they've coughed it up here, Wales, and it could prove costly.
Kawenda has shown that she's prepared to take on the defenders all the way through this tournament, and often does the big step in, and it tends to work against lower ranked teams, but it has cost her a few times against some of the bigger names.
We've seen it as it's a sort of African move, that shot. Proscovia Peace plays it for Uganda as well, where once they get it, instead of turning and spinning with that traditional shot, they like to almost layup style step into the defenders.
Yep, they can afford to do that because they've got a really risky shot. If you watch Chelsea Lewis up the other end is a good example. The shot really comes through the entire body. The knees bend, they get up on their toes, and they finish it like it's a full body move. Whereas this African style of shooting that we're seeing, it's incredibly risky, both of which work. Obviously, Kamwenda's sitting at 25 from 27 at 93%, and Lewis is 27 from 30 at 90%. But because it's so risky, the ball doesn't drop down, so that it doesn't really bring the defenders into play.
Just feels like it looks like you're playing into the defender's hands, because the defender's saying, fantastic, I can get as close to the ball and this is illegal.
Yep, it does, but it hasn't really bothered her too much. Very rarely has she been really run into trouble doing it through the course of this tournament. Whereas if you watch the Nat Medhurst, for example, who drops the ball quite low to her head, she couldn't do it. She couldn't get away with it because the defender had put their pesky hands over the top of it and not allowed to get the ball back up.
And it's all tied up again. This is a fascinating contest unfolding here. Winner plays off for 5th. The loser plays off for 7th tomorrow. Susie Drain to Jones, Thomas, nice little understanding, and again she is the go-to girl. She has stood tall under the post this afternoon for Wales.
Good swing and drive from Kamwenda, but an equally good defensive pickup from Williams. Oh, the good work undone, and fast take from Simtawi. She's got plenty to say to Bridget Kamwenda.
Thomas, a little bit more confidence in the flow of that shot. But again, a misfire, it falls short. Still, she's shot 7 goals from 9 attempts. And once again, Drain needs some medical attention.
Kel, I've had a bit of feedback on Twitter saying, this is from Heidi, you don't know what Most is, where have you been hiding? But Heidi's from Melbourne, I saw on her Twitter handle.
I don't think it's a Victorian thing, Liz.
I think it is.
You put the moz on someone.
So in New South Wales, I think we put the mocker on someone.
Well, that's the same thing.
Yeah, but it's
the
a
mocker,
different...
put the moz, it's the same, basically the same word.
I get that, it's just a different word.
You never heard moz,
Never
ever.
heard Moz.
Need to find out where Moz was born. So 36 goals apiece. 7 goals each in this third quarter. Looms as a really important quarter.
So
Both these sides.
Susie Drain stays on court. It's had a fairly quiet game for Wales so far. 3 centre pass receives. 1 penalty, 1 turnover. I think Wales would like a little bit more return from her just in terms of getting a hand to the ball. Although she has done a heap of work in just setting up the intercepts for Pretorius and Williams. And behind every great wing defence that's working hard, there's a goalkeeper with good stats. And Pretorius has got just that, 4 deflections, just 10 penalties.
It's been a good close contest, Liz, but does Malawi look a little bit flat to you compared to what we saw yesterday against Jamaica, where they went toe-to-toe and lost that 1-goal heartbreaker?
Yeah, most definitely. And you can understand how this game would be a tough game to get up for, but they must get up for it. They do look flat, but to the credit of Wales, they're taking advantage of that. They're moving the ball around. If you listen to their bench, if you listen to them on court, they're really enthusiastic. There's lots of voice. Their body language is good. Whereas I get the sense with Malawi that, to a degree, they're going through the motions, but if they continue to do that, it's going to bite them because Wales are good enough to make them pay.
And if you've had such encouraging results throughout the tournament and the preliminary rounds, where you've lost by 1 to Jamaica, you've lost by just 8 to New Zealand, you've beaten Uganda by 6. I mean, there's some impressive results there. Day 1, they beat South Africa by 7. To then fall away and fade in the tournament and be playing off for 7th and 8th and maybe, you know, finish 8th tomorrow would be really disappointing for them.
It would be disappointing, and the hard thing is that they've really got to work hard to finish 5th. But that's the same as their best ever result. So, you know, they'll improve. If they finish 5th, they'll improve on their finish in the last World Cup where they finished 6th.
And they can also say we've closed the gap. We're getting closer.
Yeah.
You know, they're not far away from causing an almighty upset. They nearly did it at the Commonwealth Games last year against New Zealand. Is that right? Lost by 3
Lost
goals.
by 3. Yeah, good pick up there from Mafriwa. She's been solid for Malawi through this game.
Oh, and there we see Kamwenda, the giant step off the post. A magic moment from Wai Kamwenda.
And do you know what, as a defender, there's not much you can do about it because the ball comes straight back at you or at the shooter. And there's no time to get in between her and the ball.
Oh, Kamwenda just lighting it up now. Here's a replay. Now, this is legal, Liz. Talk us through it. There's no such thing as a short pass.
No, there's not. And there's no such thing as a replay, and that's the thing that I guess a lot of people have an issue with, is that it looks like a replay ball because she's got it and she gets it back and no other player touches it. But it's treated like a shot at goal. So if a shooter takes a shot and it hits the ring or the post, she's allowed to rebound it. And it's essentially a rebound. It's using that rebound rule. And it's clever, and you don't see players do it often.
So someone was talking to me about this, not a netball expert, but their theory was that there's extra padding around the posts at this World Cup. They almost look like it's square padding, so therefore, why wouldn't you have a crack at it?
Yeah, absolutely. It does look a bit softer, so you're going to have a bit more control of the ball. If it's a hard, narrow padding, you don't know quite where the ball's going to go. Having said that, though, it still requires a degree of skill. You know, we all marvel when a cricketer hits a single stump, and it's a bit similar when you're a long way away and you've still got to punch that ball through.
She's got all the tricks.
She does, and it's interesting, isn't it? She's come alive in the last few minutes, and suddenly Malawi are out to a 5-goal lead.
So Kamwenda sucking in the oxygen after putting on a show in the last few minutes. Another injury time for Wales. This time it's their centre in Jones getting some attention.
So there's not like this blood and dread. That's where I told to score.
Here, there are intercepts across that circle. Square intercepts. You've got 5 minutes. Just keep your head up and you'll see them, all right? So whilst you're moving around, just make sure that you've got vision on the ball as well, all right? Centre passes, you've got to be more like, she was being driven there, we lost that centre pass. Don't get blinkered into one option, yeah? If Beth's coming out that side, let's make sure our options aren't all that side. Remember what we talked about? Cut in to cut out, yeah? So you balance it. Beth, you need to just cut. Don't keep running there. When they're driving you hard like that, they've got on the inside. New centre pass. You stop and cut back because you ended up really at the centre. Right, so you need to create your space. Stop, cut back. That's what's working for you. Don't stop doing what's working, yeah? Let's lift again. You've got 5 minutes. You need to push
5 minutes left.
Don't let this momentum shift go this way. Go this way. It's
correct.
Okay. Left, yeah?
Last 5. In there, Drika!
So Malawi with 7 of the last 10 goals, and that's why Trish Wilcox is really trying to urge her charges in these last few minutes before three-quarter time. Malawi's biggest lead has been 6, and for Wales, the biggest lead 2.
Well, the Welsh lead of 2 was back at the 7-minute mark of the first quarter. They drew even in this quarter. Haven't been able to go on with it. Just having a look at the Wales shooting breakdown, and Chelsea Lewis just scoring then from the right-hand side of the post. As you look at it, she scored 22 of, or Wales have scored 22 of their goals in that position, 15 on the other side of the post and just 3 in front of the post. So haven't had a long shot from outside 2.5 metres of the circle, so outside halfway.
So it's all been from that spot where she just scored from.
Yeah, it has been. So make that 23 of 26 from that spot.
Are coaches aware of that on the bench? Do they follow the trends of the game? Do they have access to that information and therefore let their shooters know that sort of information?
Some coaches do. Some countries have performance analysts here, and we've seen Wai Tamanu hooked up to an earpiece, and that's the performance analyst apparently giving her the information that she needs. So
should that be allowed?
Well, that information is freely available. She could sit there with a laptop like I'm doing and get it. Just look at the match centre. There you go, I'm just giving away our secrets. It's not hard, this commentary gig. But the coaches would also be aware of that going into the game. So as part of your analysis of different teams, you know exactly where the shooters prefer to take their shots from. You know where the ball comes in from. There's certain teams who deliver the ball on one side of the court or the other, or from the top of the circle. So you know all of that going into the game. So the stats here would possibly, for Wales, would just confirm what the Malawi coaches know. And if you look at Malawi, they're a bit more even around where they take their shots from, but the bulk of them are on the left-hand side of the post as you look down towards the post. So exactly where Wai Kamwenda is at the moment. But again, they've all been short range. They haven't had a long-range shot.
And Simtawai will step in, offload to Kamwenda. Goal number 34. So they're holding on to this narrow lead. A couple of minutes left before the last break. Oh, coming out hard, well played.
Vinkumba read that beautifully. And Tawira Vinkumba has been watching for that all game, and that's the first time she's come out of the circle and they've finished it.
Quick in transition. Impressive.
So after a promising start from Wales in this quarter, it's been a pretty good run from Malawi. So the interesting thing will be to see if this end that Malawi is at is the scoring end. So far it looks the case. So the scoring that end has gone 17 to Malawi in the first, 16 to Wales in the second, 17 to Malawi in the third. Down the other end of the court, it's gone 13 to Wales in the first, 12 in the second, 13 in the third.
Has that got anything to do with umpiring?
It is all to do with umpiring. So some umpires let a little bit more go, and so the scores tend to drop a little bit.
Of course, umpires, they just stick to one half of the court, don't they?
They do. So their interpretation can, I guess, influence where the scoring end is of the match. And both of these umpires today have been pretty good. I haven't really noticed them, but it is just interesting that you do see the scoring really follow a pattern.
Simtaway. Mainly that one-handed, right-handed shot.
And again, that's something that the players should know. The coaching line should tell them. So you know when that's the case that you've just got to make the most of it. You've got to get in there and score and get yourself a comfortable lead.
Kamwenda, that ball was right behind her. Her ability to snare that, she's so athletic. And now it is the biggest lead for the night.
Just a wardrobe malfunction for Caroline Takuli, but she's fixed up a bib now, and we're ready to go.
Oh, it was offensive against Lewis. I haven't seen that too much this afternoon. Is there time? Kamwenda can do anything. She flies, and it's a contact call.
Well, Pretorius made the mistake then of staying on the ground. The ball went well over their head. Had she got up and contested it, she would have been okay.
So that makes it 8 goals, and it is blown out here in the last few minutes. That is their biggest lead, Malawi. It is 50 to Wales 42 with 15 minutes left in the contest. So a couple late for Malawi, and it helps their cause. Kamwenda now up to 37 from 40 attempts. And her highest score so far in the tournament has been 48 goals. That came against Uganda. Take us through these stats, Liz.
Just have a look at the turnover stats. 16 to Wales, 10 for Malawi. If you dig a little deeper, Malawi have scored off 8 of those 10 turnovers. Wales have scored off 9 of... Sorry, Malawi have scored off 8 off the 16 at 50% turnovers. Wales have scored off 9 of the 10 turnovers that they've got back. So the Wales conversion of the turnovers that they're getting back from Malawi is actually really impressive, sitting at 90%. For Malawi, that conversion rate is only 50%. So they're actually doing quite well, even though they're not really punishing Wales when Wales make mistakes. Really good quarter then from Malawi. Scores were even at half-time, but Malawi just, especially towards the last 5 or so minutes of that quarter, really ran it home. And that's where you start to see good teams assert themselves in the last 5 minutes of quarters. In the first and the second quarter, it was a real arm wrestle, but you just got the sense then that Malawi were finding spaces, especially in that shooting circle that they weren't able to find in the first half. The change for Malawi of Bikumbo coming in from Nguira seemed to help them close up the space in the Welsh shooting circle, and they started to restrict the impact of Chelsea Lewis in at goal shooter. So Lewis shot 11 goals in the first, 12 in the second, and 12 in the third quarter. So it was really Emma Thomas that got shut down the Welsh goal attack.
Kamwenda, if you don't mind, 16 goals in that third quarter. 16 goals from 17 attempts. She is the star of this side. And this game is really on her in this last quarter to drag them over the line. They lead it by 8. It was 4 goals at quarter time. Scores were level at half time, but Malawi won that third term 21-13 against Wales, all set for the last quarter. Here we go, it's Malawi's centre pass. Will they run away with it, find some energy in this last 15 minutes, or will Wales really fight it out? Oh, beautiful ball from Kamwenda into Simtaway. And that's a great start.
So there's been some changes to the Welsh team. Georgia Rowe in at goal shooter sees Chelsea Lewis move out to goal attack. Bethan Dyke stays at wing attack. Jones stays at centre. Susie Drone at wing defence. Kelly Morgan comes on at goal defence. And Letitia Kidness comes on at goalkeeper. So big changes for Wales in that defensive line. And not surprisingly, Malawi running the same line that they ran with through that third quarter.
And Kidner and Morgan defensively have been a good duo throughout the tournament. This is some good pressure that's been applied at the moment.
Pays dividends immediately. Kidner just getting a hand to the ball. And
Kamwenda doesn't like the call.
no, it's an odd call. It's gone Kinder's way, but the umpire...
Looked like it came off her hand.
Yeah, she was in pretty good position.
So we see Lewis in goal attack. I think that might be for the first time so far. She comes out of the circle.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing how she moves in that goal attack position, actually. Because she's got a real static style of play at goal shooter. Doesn't waste too much energy, doesn't have to. So Georgia Rowe standing at 196 centimetres. So an incredibly tall shooting circle. With Lewis standing at 188.
First 3 in this last quarter to Malawi, and they can see the finish line in sight. So here's Lewis in that feeding role now, trying to get it into Rowe, the youngster. Morgan. Now the high ball. Here is Georgia Rowe, just 20. She got some great experience last night against Australia. Second tallest in the competition, 196 centimetres. That is 3 centimetres taller than Bassett. What about that take from Kamwenda?
Well, Kidner looked up as if to say, how did that happen? But when Mike Kamwenda's in a mood like this and the ball goes in perfectly, there's not a lot you can do about it. You just got to ask your centre court for a bit more protection, get them to work a little bit harder in front of you. That's just a great take. I mean, who's got the coordination to jump that high and do a tuck jump?
So I was asking Tema Parabailey the other day. She said we call it the tuck jump. It's a tuck jump move. So I'm not sure whether that was exactly it. Well, the legs were going all over the place on that occasion, but it worked. She's just about the most athletic player here, I reckon. There's 198 all up.
Very close to it.
Potential is enormous.
And that's saying something, because there are some incredibly athletic players out there across these 16 teams competing in the World Cup.
So Georgia Rowe just struggling against Vinkumbu to get any space, and as a result, it's turned over.
Oh, look at this, streaming down the court. That mid-court has really opened up for Malawi. And just the fatigue level setting in for Wales. That transition play and defensively was non-existent. And Malawi have got their tails up. Bridget Kamwenda in particular, wing attack, has come to life. She was sort of floating around the court earlier. Now she's driving, getting to the top of the circle and running with a real purpose.
They are full of run in this last quarter, Malawi. They've outscored Wales 7 goals to 2. Jones. Here we go for Georgia Rowe. She's given it off to Lewis. Good story, Georgia Rowe. Liz, 4 years ago, had never played a game of netball. When she was just 16, sitting home on the couch, and her father thought, got to do something to get her out and about and moving. So he rang the local netball coach, and 4 years later, here she is representing her country.
Can you imagine being the local netball coach and a young woman of 196 centimetres wanders through your door? You'd do cartwheels.
Just missed out on the team for the Com Games, and her dad and family are so pumped that she got picked for Sydney. They're all here, mum, dad, sister, grandma.
Oh, there you go. So if you want an excuse for a holiday, put your kid into sport. Tell your boss, oh, I can't help it, I've got to go to the World Cup. That's a great story.
It is, isn't it? Fantastic. So incredibly tall, 196 centimetres.
Yeah, but she looks coordinated. Like, again, it's that development. If Wales can pump some resources into her, who knows what she could be. If I can get Chelsea Lewis used to running out at goal attack in front of her, because she's proved in the first 6 minutes of this quarter she could move, that becomes a fairly formidable combination.
So injury time, Bethan Dyke for Wales. Seen a lot of this from Wales tonight. They are tiring.
They are. I've had a question on Twitter, Kel. Can defenders play a ball off the post? This is from Lisa. Given that they can't take a shot at goal, they can, but who'd want to?
You just don't need to force it in, okay? So it's circle edge feet, Ira, just work it. Okay, Chelsea, nice and calm. I like the way you're offloading to the feeders and then getting in. Then make sure that you draw in across.
George or enter.
No, go front. Okay, so you enter and go front. All right. So you just need to keep it nice and calm. The sympathetic feeds, place the ball away from the defender's hands. All right. We just went away from that in our first 2 minutes. Let's go back to the discipline. Yeah. Come on, guys. Jump the pass on the outside. Yeah. Let's go. Come on, let's go. In there,
So still plenty of belief in the Welsh camp, despite the fact Malawi really running away with this in the last quarter.
Interesting instructions. Sympathetic feeds, put the ball away from the defenders. That's a really good way to think of it.
What's a sympathetic feed?
Well, I'm assuming that you put it away from where the defender is. Be a little bit sympathetic to the space of the shooter. I was just thinking, imagine if you're a defender and you played the ball off the post and lost it.
Yeah, you might not get another game for a while.
No. A little bit of time on the bench to think about trying to be clever. Leave that to the shooters. Much better pressure then from the Welsh defensive line, but Malawi have the answers, and the answer is Kamwenda. So really impressive fourth quarter, especially given that Malawi came into this game feeling tired, on a bit of a downer after losing that game by 1. They've actually got better as the game has gone on. So 21-13 in the third, and currently leading the fourth, 11-3.
So we've been waiting for a team to break through and sort of jump into that top 4, cause the upset. Last year at the Commonwealth Games, Malawi got within 3 goals of New Zealand. The final score there was 50-47. Silver Ferns just getting over the line. Then we saw Malawi play New Zealand here. They went down by 8. But it was sort of a late run by the Silver Ferns. Probably that score is a little flattering in favour of New Zealand. And then yesterday, Malawi against Jamaica going down by 1. Do they need to learn how to win? Do they need to take something away from here and go and work on something? Or is it just a matter of time that we will finally see this breakthrough and a team will cause an upset over the Big Four?
That's a really good question, Kellen. I reckon when you look back at the 2 games that Malawi have pushed New Zealand and Jamaica, they had really poor starts in both of those games. Against New Zealand, they let the Ferns get out to a 6-0 lead, and I think it was fairly similar against Jamaica. Today they've got out to a good start, but they've had a little fade in that second quarter, and the fades and the poor starts are what's cost them. When they've been consistent across the quarter, they're not only able to compete, they're really hard to stop. So Malawi, I think, mentally need to address why they're having poor starts or why they're fading out in a quarter. The other thing they need to be able to do, and this is what they struggled against Jamaica yesterday, they need defensively just to win back a little bit more ball. So they're really good because they're able to score a lot of goals through Kamwenda, but to compete with the top 4 nations defensively, you must win back ball. And that's why they need to work with players like Lauren Nguira, who has got so much potential, and turn her into a real force in that back line.
Change has been made in the goal attack position with Jane Chimaliro on, and about her stats coming into this game number 7 for Malawi for the tournament. She's the most accurate shooter so far, 28 goals from 29 attempts, so just the 1 miss, shooting at 97%. She's already 2 from 2, having an immediate impact. Should we see the likes of Malawi and Uganda and that tour, Australia and New Zealand, more frequently?
That would be good, just to keep them in touch in terms of the intensity and the speed of the international game at that top level. But as I said earlier in the broadcast in this game, it's about developing all levels of the game in Malawi and in Uganda. You can't just put all your resources in the top level, you've got to develop that next level down, and that's the way the best countries in the world do it. It's the way Australia does it. There's a clear pathway, but there are development opportunities, especially for coaches at every level, and that is probably where you get most bang for your buck, is to develop the know-how of coaches all the way through the Malawian netball system, so they can develop players and push them through the pipeline into the national team.
To Cooley, the captain, pinpoint pass to Kamwenda. And they're starting to put on a show in this final 5 minutes now.
Contact, wing attack. Yep. Settle down, go to the field. Yeah.
Well, they're both pretty willing, and
Deliberate contact.
yeah, that had to be advanced. Mafriwa went on with it after the penalty was taken, just a little shove in the back, and she just doesn't want to mar this game by doing anything silly in the last few minutes.
Advantage breakaway. Sideline corner.
About the leap. Can just set any ball into her. She's talking to the umpire. She called injury time. She has. So Kamwenda just sending a little scare through the camp here after leaping up and taking that high ball. She wants to come off.
Yeah, she's pulled the patch off.
She's hurt herself.
Hopefully not too badly, and hopefully this is just precaution on her behalf.
Because they will have a big game coming up tomorrow, Liz. They will play off for 5th. And that will be against the winner between Uganda and South Africa. So they cannot afford to lose Kamwenda.
changes all round for Malawi. Nguira coming back on at goalkeeper.
She's still bouncing around. She's energised.
She is. And Joyce Mvula on at goal shooter. So haven't seen her so far this game. Just leaves Martha Dunbar as the only Malawian player not to take the court today.
What about teams touring Malawi? Could that be an option as well? There's been a bit of talk of a World Youth Cup heading to Botswana in the next couple of years. Is that something that could be a genuine? I mean, imagine the impact an Aussie team or the Silver Ferns travelling to Malawi would have on the next generation.
Yeah, I doubt that Australia or New Zealand would send their senior team into Malawi simply because just commercial reality. It costs a lot of money and they get their bang for their buck when they play test matches at home. Oh, beautiful pull in there from Vinkumbo. Oh, couldn't quite control it.
Rush of blood.
Yeah, I think she thought she was throwing to Kamwenda. I mean, you can put the ball anywhere. But it's highly conceivable that, you know, the Centre of Excellence team could go over there. And as well as playing, they'd also get involved with some coaching clinics. So we've done that in South Africa when we toured with the Diamonds years ago. And it's really instructive. It's great from a player's point of view to get out and work with young athletes and young kids, and just to see the talent on the ground is phenomenal.
So margin is 21. This last quarter, Malawi has owned it, 19-6. Rowe adds to her tally. Most of these Welsh players play in the UK Super League.
Playing the same team, Celtic Dragons, don't they?
Yeah, all except for Jones, who's played with Team Bath. What a great experience for them coming out to Sydney. Playing against some of the world's best. Malawi still finishing full of intensity. They won a couple of sneaky late goals here. Chimalero. He's a sharp shooter. 6 from 6, continues that record, having just the one miss of the tournament so far.
Ground obstructed.
So Mvula gives away a penalty, but it won't make any difference. It's been an impressive second half. So after it was 29 apiece at half-time, Malawi are leading the second half 42-22.
Yeah, it's been comprehensive. They've been able to finish strongly, Malawi, after a bit of a slow start. They looked flat in that opening half. Still coming to terms with that one-goal loss to Jamaica yesterday. But they're back on the winners list after losses to New Zealand and Jamaica. It is Malawi advancing through, and they will play off for 5th against the winner of Uganda and South Africa. That match to be played tomorrow for Wales. They will play off for 7th against the loser of Uganda and South Africa. So 7 games down for these two teams. 1 game to go. It's been a long, tough tournament. The final score, Malawi 71 to Wales 52.